Hi, it's Panda Movies here. Today, I'm going to explain the Filipino horror movie called Seclusion. Warning, there are spoilers ahead. Enjoy the video. Seklusyon is centered around 4 deacons facing their biggest challenge yet before being finally ordained to priesthood. The group is compelled to spend a week in seclusion. This is in accordance with the regulation of the Catholic Church. The movie is set in the 1940s. It opens with the deacons preparing to spend 7 days of solitude in a retreat house. On the other hand, Ricardo, a priest, tries to investigate a preternatural little girl named Anghela. The girl is worshipped as a deity due to her miraculous healing powers that can cure any ailments. Anghela is assisted by a mysterious nun, Sister Cecilia. Father Ricardo stays to observe the little girl while she performs miracles, but grows suspicious of her powers because every time she heals someone, black liquid drips from her mouth. The scene cuts to Miguel, one of the deacons set to undergo seclusion. He arrives at a monastery and meets Sandoval, a former priest who has been excommunicated by the bishop. Sandoval tells Miguel about the old ritual where deacons or aspiring priests are sent to a secluded area on the last 7 days of their training to shield them from evil, for it is believed that the last 7 days would be where they are expected to be most vulnerable to the influence of the devil. While in seclusion, Miguel meets fellow deacons, Carlo, Fabian, and Marco. On the other hand, while visiting a church, Father Ricardo finds a bloodied Anghela. The priest discovers that the little girl's parents have been murdered. Father Ricardo relays the message to the bishop, and in turn, the bishop orders him to move Anghela and Sister Cecilia to a secluded place, the same monastery the deacons are undergoing their training. Father Ricardo protests against the bishop's decision due to his suspicions of Sister Cecilia. To appease Father Ricardo, the bishop allows him to continue his investigation. Father Ricardo, Anghela, and Sister Cecilia arrive in the monastery, and as it turns out, Father Ricardo is not alone in opposing the idea of letting them stay in the same place as the deacons. Sandoval, the former priest who was in charge of the deacons' training, is concerned that they might disrupt the ongoing training, but immediately agrees when he is told that their stay is under the order of the bishop. Later that night, the group gathered for dinner. Spoiled bread and tap water were prepared on the table. Everyone hesitated to take a bite of what was served. However, Anghela uses her powers to make the bread edible again, removing the molds that surrounded them. The little girl also turns the tap water into wine. Seeing the miracle that she had just performed, the deacons are impressed, except for Miguel. During the course of their stay, the deacons are plagued by recurring nightmares in the form of their sins that continue to hunt them. Marco's gluttonous nature caused the death of his siblings from starvation in the midst of the recently concluded war, while Fabian's reason to enter priesthood was rooted from his intention of escaping his physically abusive mother, and Miguel is taunted by his dead ex-lover, Irina, in the form of the Virgin Mary. One night, Anghela finds Sandoval in the kitchen and asks the former priest for food and water. Sandoval gives the little girl what she asked for, and the two sit down to talk. Anghela opens up about Sandoval's excommunication and how it was not his fault. Sandoval argues that he was indeed at fault and deserves the punishment he received for his sins, but Anghela convinces him that he was not responsible for his sins. The very next morning, Sandoval leaves, but not before thanking Anghela for the clarity that she was able to give him, and leaves the deacons in training under her care. On the other hand, the investigation of Father Ricardo leads him to a convent. Upon arrival at the convent, he asks to talk to the Mother Superior and immediately questions her about Sister Cecilia. The Mother Superior was rude towards the priest, but still cooperates and willingly gives him Sister Cecilia's records. She warns him to stop his investigation and to never return to the convent. Upon looking into the records, Father Ricardo discovers that Sister Cecilia was raped by several men during the war, and that part of her face was burned. It was also stated that she later became Anghela's teacher, leading the priest to believe that the nun was healed by the little girl. Aside from his discoveries from looking deeper into Sister Cecilia's records, Father Ricardo also discovers that Anghela was actually raised in an orphanage and was later on adopted. To the priest's surprise, one of the documents appeared to have the name Anghela written on it, a rearrangement of Anghela's name which is said to be the name of the devil incarnate. The document further explains that the miraculous healing powers do not come from God, but rather from the devil. with enough evidence to prove that Anghela is a false prophet and Sister Cecilia is a servant of the devil. Father Ricardo reports to the bishop immediately and warns him of Anghela's true nature, but Sandoval shows up at the last minute and shoots the bishop dead. Sandoval turns to Father Ricardo and informs him of Anghela's whereabouts and that she is waiting for him. Back in the secluded monastery, Anghela continues to entice the deacons that the only way to redeem themselves from their sins is to give in to their temptations, even using Sister Cecilia as pawn for her schemes. The first to succumb was Marco, giving in to his gluttonous nature. Next was Fabian. He is revealed to be abusive to women due to the abuse that he received from his own mother. Finally, Carlo gives in and is revealed to be a pedophile. As Anghela holds an unholy mass in the chapel, Miguel tries to convince the others that she is not to be trusted, but he is unsuccessful. Defeated, he angrily calls Anghela a false prophet and runs into the woods. He is swiftly followed by Anghela, Sister Cecilia, and the 3 deacons. During the chase, Miguel trips and hits his head, falling unconscious. The scene cuts to a flashback of Miguel's relationship with his dead ex-lover Irina. It is revealed that Miguel left a pregnant Irina to pursue his plans of becoming a priest. This leaves Irina heartbroken and hangs herself to death after giving birth to their child. At this time, Anghela heals Miguel, and he wakes up realizing that Anghela is his daughter that he abandoned. The deacons, including Miguel, are persuaded by Anghela to go back to the chapel to continue the ritual. She lets them drink from a cup filled with black liquid. Although doubtful, Miguel still drinks from the cup. Father Ricardo finally arrives and interrupts the ritual, confronting Anghela. The priest tries to exorcise her, but Anghela proves to be more powerful and burns him to death using her supernatural powers. Miguel, witnessing what happened, seizes Anghela and takes her to the chapel, barricading the door. There, Anghela reveals herself as Anghela, a demon whose malevolent mission is to take over the church. The people she has previously healed end up worshipping her. Sister Cecilia and the 3 deacons try to break down the barricade, so Miguel grabs a knife and quickly stabs Anghela several times. Black liquid begins to drip out of her mouth as she slowly dies. Miguel hurriedly escapes, never to be seen again. As the story draws its conclusion, the remaining deacons, Fabian, Carlo, and Marco, are seen ordained into priesthood by the new bishop, but they are unaware that they are not blessed by God, but by the devil.